Hello guys, while all the air defense was trying to protect Moscow parade and even Xi Jinping from China served as air defense for Putin, Ukrainian drones keep demilitarizing Russia. Today we will have a really long Russian geography lesson because we've targeted numerous objects in Saransk, in Tatarstan, in Moscow region. And also, I think it's very important to analyze this Russian parade because it is tremendously weaker and poorer in comparison to the previous anniversary. And all because Russia loses not just soldiers, they don't care about people and soon will actually reach 1 million, but they also lose a lot of armored vehicles, a lot of aircraft, and were literally unable to demonstrate that during this bloody murderous parade. So let's discuss all the important events and how Ukrainian drones use this opportunity to defeat and demilitarize Russia, the only working peace plan. My name is Anna, I'm from Ukraine, I'm in Ukraine. Subscribe to demonstrate your solidarity and please share these videos if you share my opinion. Ukrainian drones are inexpensive but super effective, and they visited a number of Russian regions. Let's start with Saransk, because two objects were demilitarized there with drones. First of all, that is Saransk Kabel, and second, Saransk Optica. Both of these factories right now produce fiber optics for the Russian drones. These are bad technologies that harm a lot of Ukrainian people, not only on the front lines, not only the soldiers. You know that Russians love targeting drones into Ukrainian apartment buildings. Unfortunately, this leads to very serious consequences, and they kept doing it during this so-called negotiations process, during this so-called ceasefire. So anytime I learn about another evil object that was able of producing drones, that was able of producing bombs or something like that is destroyed, this is a huge victory. Because first of all, Russia demilitarized, second, lots of innocent lives saved. Another region that we will visit together with the Ukrainian drones is Naberezhnye Chelny in Tatarstan. Tatarstan is a republic inside the Russian Federation with a great potential to become independent one day. They actually tried to do so in 1992, but then were suppressed traditionally by Russia, and right now Moscow uses Tatarstan as a hub for production various weapons. I think not just because it's far away from Ukraine, but also to keep control over the republic. And there, Ukrainian drones demilitarized a very important KAMAZ factory. And it is located 1,255 kilometers away from Ukraine. Tatarstan is also known for the facility that produces drones, also demilitarized by Ukrainian drones. And it's magical that knowing how important these objects are for Russian war industry, locating them literally thousands of kilometers away from Ukraine, Russians are unable to protect it. And another important target neutralized by Ukraine was in Moscow region. Maybe one of the reasons that paralyzed the work of the airlines and airports, which was a huge collapse and definitely a very loud message to the Russian population that not everything goes according to the plan. So in Moscow region, we neutralized Basalt factory that was able to produce aerial bombs. You know that just yesterday, during the so-called ceasefire that Putin wanted himself to safeguard the Moscow parade, Russians dropped 100 of these aerial bombs on Sumy region, just one Ukrainian region. Russians cannot conquer Ukraine, they know it, and right now their plan is to destroy the country and people. I'm sure the world is better with Ukrainians on the planet protecting you from the Russian evil. And the plans of Russia are way bigger than some regions of Ukraine, some territories or whatnot. and their very open unity with China is another proof. Subscribe to stay updated and to witness the collapse of the Kremlin together. I was kinda not surprised to learn that China now openly supports Russia, because during these 3 years of war, China was the greatest savior of the Russian economy. They supplied them with all the necessary elements for weapon production. And I know that the presence of the North Korean soldiers is definitely made and only possible with this acceptance of China. China helped North Korea survive during these years, and China allowed North Korean soldiers to participate in the war in Europe. So China also has bad plans. Xi came to celebrate this 80th anniversary of the victory in the Great Patriotic War, something that Russia wants to privatize, to steal from dozens of other nations that participated and brought this victory to the world. And I'm actually happy that Donald Trump now speaks about the American role in the victory, because Lend-Lease and all that was super important and decisive for the victory. And I'm sure Putin definitely dislikes hearing that. But we have to remember that all those countries who came to celebrate parade in Moscow together with the greatest war criminal responsible for lots of crimes in Ukraine, including the Prime Minister of Slovakia, Fico, and including Vucic, these are people with blood on their hands, because they help to legitimize, to excuse Putin's war crimes, and not just Putin's, Russian in general. Plus, this is just like the peak of that evil. But I want to draw your attention to one very beautiful fact. If we look at all the countries that were present there, seems like 13, with China included, their joint GDP will be 18.5% of the global GDP. 18.5. And the United States alone has 27.5% GDP. Do you feel the difference? I don't know why modern White House keeps talking with Putin as if he is something big. Even if you measure the world in this vision of Donald Trump, big, many, a lot, huge, and so on. I am sorry, even from this perspective, Russia is not a friend for the United States. So the parade was really poor, way weaker in comparison with the previous anniversaries when Russia celebrated 70 years of the victory in the Great Patriotic War. Just think how insane it is to rename the war according to the needs of your own propaganda. It's insane, it's unacceptable. You cannot imagine something similar happening in France or Denmark. But that's what Russia did for decades, and people thought, okay, they are playing with the words. I'm sorry. It is always a very dangerous symptom when people start changing the globally accepted terms and concepts. So they wanted to demonstrate these powers, but they lacked armored vehicles, burned, destroyed, demilitarized. They lacked aircraft. And I'm sure you remember recently we have destroyed 2 Russian Su-30 bombers with a beautiful, inexpensive, but super effective, modern, innovative Ukrainian naval drone Mahura 7. That is a new version. So they did not have enough aircraft, enough armored vehicles to demonstrate, but they did show drones. This is a proof of this interconnection between Russian modern war crimes and the way they celebrate that parade. And also a reminder to NATO countries, this war is very different from what you were preparing for. And here I actually quote General Zaluzhny, a very respected and very experienced military man. And you need Ukraine in NATO to get our skills, expertise, determination, and to help fight against And I'm sorry, that's reality. Against Russia, China, North Korea, Iran, they are already united. So choose Ukraine to be on your side, help us, and we will do the job. Thank you so much for the support and understanding. Let me know in the comments below, do you think we did not target anything on a red square because we could not, or because we are kind and we did not want, or because Xi Jinping was present, or maybe because Donald Trump asked Zelensky? That is my version. They yesterday had a telephone call. Maybe because we have ratified in our parliament this minerals deal, but it may also be that Trump asked not to humiliate Putin and, not to use aces because we've got the cards. But these cards are not the ones Trump thinks about. It is our dignity, it is our strength, resilience, and good is on our side. I think it's pretty obvious. Thank you for your support. Remember to subscribe to my Instagram. I'm sharing more of everyday life there on my X, Threads, Discord, Blue Sky, and my new channel, Anna Danilchuk, where I share a lot of personal stories of what is life in times of big war, including food prices and do we have enough of things to eat. And thank you so much for buying me coffees, becoming my patrons and sponsors of the channel. Check our merch shop for lots of good items that work well as reminders and conversation starters about Ukraine. But most importantly, thank you for being friends of mine and friends of Ukraine. Slava Ukraini!